Ever felt a chill run down your spine while hearing a scary story? That uneasy feeling that maybe, just maybe, it could be true? Not the kind of fear that jumps out at you suddenly, but the kind that slowly settles in your chest and refuses to leave, the kind that makes you glance over your shoulder or check the locks twice before going to bed. If you've ever felt that, then you might be closer to the truth than you think. Tonight, we're unearthing the shadows, peeling back the layers of fiction to reveal the real stories behind our favorite horror myths. From bloodthirsty vampires to restless spirits, these tales will show you just how terrifyingly thin the line is between our world and the world of nightmares. Let's begin with something familiar, something modern, the urban legend. These stories feel disturbingly real because many of them are rooted in actual events. They aren't just spooky tales passed around for entertainment. They are reflections of our collective anxieties about modern life. Think about stories like a killer hiding in the backseat of a car or poisoned candy handed out on Halloween. These legends prey on our deepest fears about safety, trust, and the idea that danger can exist in the most ordinary places. A real crime, a strange disappearance, or a tragic accident often becomes the seed of these stories. Over time, details change, locations shift, and exaggerations creep in, but the core fear remains intact. These legends act as modern cautionary tales, blending just enough truth with fiction to feel possible. Sharing them creates a strange sense of community, a shared fear that connects people and helps them make sense of a world that often feels unpredictable and unsafe. From modern myths, let's travel back into older, darker territory and talk about one of the most enduring monsters of all time, the vampire. Long before Dracula ever appeared on the silver screen, cultures across the world told stories of blood-drinking entities. In ancient Mesopotamia, people feared the Ekimu, vengeful spirits believed to roam the earth draining the life force from the living, often because they were improperly buried or denied peace in death. In ancient Greece, there was Lamia, once a beautiful queen who was transformed into a child-eating demon after suffering unbearable loss at the hands of the gods. She was said to lure men with her beauty before devouring them, a tragic blend of seduction and monstrosity that still defines vampire lore today. But it was in 18th century Eastern Europe that the modern vampire truly took shape. During this time, widespread hysteria swept through villages as people became convinced that the dead were rising from their graves to torment the living. Bodies were exhumed, examined, and mutilated in attempts to stop suspected vampires. These events weren't just rumors. They were serious enough to prompt official government investigations, with written records still existing today. Adding fuel to the fire was the historical figure of Vlad the Impaler, a brutal 15th century ruler whose extreme cruelty became forever linked to the vampire myth. Although he was very much human, his reputation provided the perfect real-world foundation for the fictional Count Dracula. The vampire, at its core, embodies humanity's deepest fears about death, disease, decay, and the unknown. It is a creature that is both seductive and deadly, reflecting anxieties that have haunted humans for centuries. From creatures of the night, we move to spirits that refuse to leave. Ghost stories are perhaps the most personal and emotionally charged of all horror tales. They almost always grow out of real tragedies and unexplained events, turning human pain into stories of lingering presence. Take St. Augustine, Florida, for example, one of the most haunted cities in the United States. Its history is steeped in pirate raids, forbidden love, executions, and violent loss. At the St. Augustine Lighthouse, visitors report hearing children's laughter, believed to belong to young girls who drowned during its construction. At the St. Francis Inn, stories tell of a spirit connected to jealousy, betrayal, and forbidden love, with apparitions still seen wandering the halls. The old jail museum, once a site of numerous hangings, is infamous for reports of shadowy figures, disembodied voices, and an overwhelming sense of dread felt by visitors and staff alike. These aren't just ghost stories meant to entertain tourists. They are a way of keeping the city's painful history alive. The same pattern appears across the world. In Oxford, England, a city known for knowledge and scholarship, the past is said to linger in unsettling ways. The ghost of King Charles I is rumored to wander the halls of Christ Church College or nearby libraries, a spectral reminder of the English Civil War and a king who lost everything. Even older is the shadow of the St. Brice's Day massacre, a brutal event from the 11th century that left such deep scars that legends of restless spirits still echo through Oxford's historic streets. These stories anchor the supernatural to documented events, transforming history into something that feels alive, present, and uneasy. And it's not only old European cities that carry these shadows. In Sydney, Australia, the Rocks District stands as a chilling reminder that colonial history does not rest quietly. Its cobblestone lanes and historic buildings tell stories of crime, punishment, and tragedy. Cadman's Cottage, one of the oldest buildings in the city, is linked to tales of violence and ghostly encounters. Nearby, the old coroner's court, once a morgue, is another hotspot for unexplained phenomena, perhaps the most bizarre and unsettling story to emerge from this area is the Shark Arm murder of 1935, a real true crime case in which a shark regurgitated a human arm, leading to a murder investigation that was never fully resolved. The case became the perfect foundation for haunting legends. Places like Reynolds Cottage and the Russell Hotel, where phantom footsteps and the spirit of a sailor in room 8 are often reported, continue to blur the line between documented history and the supernatural. This connection between true crime and horror is no coincidence. Some of the most enduring ghost stories are born directly from real-life tragedies. The infamous Amityville Horror is a prime example, beginning with a real mass murder before evolving into a global supernatural phenomenon. The truth of the crime made the haunting feel believable, even to skeptics. The same is true for famous historical figures whose tragic lives refuse to fade from memory. Anne Boleyn's ghost at the Tower of London or reports of Abraham Lincoln lingering in the White House are not just spooky anecdotes. They are reflections of unresolved grief, injustice, and national trauma. So, what do all these stories have in common? They show us that horror is not born purely from imagination. It grows from real human experience, from tragedy, injustice, fear, and unanswered questions. Urban legends amplify real events and modern anxieties. Vampire myths tap into ancient fears of death and disease. Ghost stories are emotional echoes of history's most painful moments. These legends endure because they feel possible. They blur the line between fact and fiction, making us question what we truly know about the world around us. The truth is, the most effective horror stories are the ones that make us pause and wonder if they could happen to us. They remind us that the past is never truly dead and that its shadows can still reach into the present. The next time you hear a ghost story, an urban legend, or a tale of something lurking in the dark, listen closely. You might not just be hearing a story, you might be hearing a warning, a memory, or the echo of a real event that refuses to be forgotten. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the shadows. If you enjoyed unearthing these truths, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the unknown. Stay curious. And maybe, just for tonight, sleep with a light on.